New York Yankees fans, there is a different kind of buzz in the air right now, and it has everything to do with one swing. For days, there have been whispers, little concerns floating around about Giancarlo Stanton and whether he was truly feeling 100%. You heard the chatter. You saw the speculation. When a player of his age deals with minor discomfort, when stories pop up about simple movements being uncomfortable, it does not take much for doubt to creep in. And when you're talking about a hitter who is such a massive part of the heart of this lineup, even the smallest concern can start to feel enormous. Then came that moment. One swing, one violent, unmistakable crack of the bat. Stanton absolutely demolished a baseball at 114 miles per hour. 114. That is not just hard contact. That is elite, top of the scale, change the game with one swing kind of power. The type of contact that reminds everyone exactly who he is. It was the kind of swing that makes you pause and say, that does not look like a player who is struggling physically. That looks like a man who is locked in. What makes it even more frustrating is that not everyone got to see it live. In a time when excitement for baseball is building, when fans are desperate for any glimpse of spring action, moments like that deserve to be showcased. Spring training is not just about working out the kinks. It is about hope. It is about seeing flashes of what could define the season. When a player like Stanton sends a ball screaming off his bat at that velocity, that is not just a highlight. That is reassurance. That is fuel for an entire fan base. And the truth is, the Yankees need that version of Stanton. Last season, he appeared in 77 games. 77. That is not a full campaign, not even close. But within that limited stretch, he was incredibly productive. He hit 273. He launched 24 home runs. He drove in 66 runs. He posted an on-base plus slugging of 944. 944. That is elite production, especially considering the number of games he played. When you stretch that over a larger sample, when you imagine what those numbers look like across 120 games, you're suddenly talking about a 30-home run threat without even blinking. There is also something different about him down the stretch and into the postseason. The confidence was visible. You could see it in his body language, in the way he carried himself between pitches, in the way he stepped into the batter's box, expecting to do damage. It was not just about the raw numbers. It was about presence. He looked like a hitter who believed every at-bat could change the game. That kind of mindset can carry over. It can bleed into the next year. And if that version of Stanton shows up consistently, this lineup becomes far more dangerous. Some people still question his place. They talk about younger players. They talk about giving opportunities elsewhere. But you do not casually discard a 944 on base plus slugging bat. You do not push aside a hitter who can change the scoreboard with one swing. Production at that level earns its space. Health has always been the key with Stanton. Not talent, not effort, availability. If he is on the field, history shows he will produce. He is not 25 anymore. He is in his mid-30s. That matters. The wear and tear is real. Every professional athlete deals with bumps and bruises, and the older you get, the more maintenance it requires. But being 36 does not erase elite bat speed. It does not erase the ability to square up a fastball and send it into orbit. If anything, experience sharpens the approach. It refines pitch selection. It allows a hitter to do more damage with fewer wasted swings. And that is why that 114-mile-per-hour missile matters so much. It is not just a number. It is evidence. Evidence that the bat speed is still there. Evidence that the strength is still there. Evidence that when he connects, the baseball still has no chance. For a team with championship aspirations, having that kind of force in the middle of the order changes everything. Opposing pitchers cannot relax. They cannot navigate the lineup comfortably. They know one mistake can leave the yard in a hurry. The Yankees have other talented hitters. They have emerging players who will contribute. They have veterans who understand the grind of a long season. But Stanton at full strength is a different layer of fear. He lengthens the lineup. He protects the hitters around him. He forces managers to rethink late-game bullpen decisions. That ripple effect cannot be overstated. If he gives them 100 games at last year's pace, you are likely looking at 30 or more home runs. If he pushes toward 120 games, the ceiling rises even higher. And when you pair that with the rest of the offensive core, suddenly the conversation shifts from concern to expectation. Expectation of power. Expectation of run production. Expectation of a lineup that can go toe-to-toe with anyone. There will always be skeptics. There will always be worries about durability. That comes with the territory when a player has dealt with injuries in previous seasons. But moments like this, moments where the ball jumps off his bat at 114 miles per hour, serve as reminders. Reminders that the upside is massive. Reminders that when he is right, he is one of the most dangerous hitters in the sport. And as the season approaches, as the games begin to matter more and the spotlight grows brighter, the Yankees are going to lean heavily on that kind of power. They're going to need that presence in the middle of the order. Because in a league where margins are thin and postseason dreams hinge on timely hits, having a healthy, confident Giancarlo Stanton could be the difference between simply competing and truly contending. And while the spotlight naturally gravitates toward the Thunder in the lineup, there's another storyline quietly shaping the early tone of this season, and that is the rotation. With key arms working their way back, the responsibility does not disappear. It shifts. It intensifies for the guys who are ready to take the ball right now. That is where Max Fried enters the conversation in a massive way. His first appearance of the spring was not about dominance on the stat sheet. It was about rhythm. He worked 3 scoreless innings, issued 3 walks, and began the process of fine-tuning his command. Early outings in March are rarely about perfection. They are about feel. They are about building stamina, sharpening mechanics, and trusting that the competitive edge will be there when the games start to count. Fried has built a reputation across his career as one of the steadier arms in the game when healthy. A career earned run average just over 3. A consistent ability to limit damage. A presence on the mound that does not waver when traffic builds. And that steadiness is going to matter even more in the opening months. Garrett Cole is expected to miss the first stretch of the season. Carlos Rodon may not be fully available right away. When 2 major pieces of the rotation are temporarily out of the picture, someone has to anchor things. Fried has to be that stabilizing force. He does not need to be superhuman. He needs to be reliable. 6 strong innings. Competitive at-bats. Keeping the Yankees in games until the offense does what it is built to do. The encouraging part is that Fried has shown he can handle that type of responsibility. He has pitched in big games. He has navigated hostile environments. He understands how to sequence hitters and avoid the big inning. If he delivers the kind of performance he has produced throughout his career, the Yankees can weather the early storm. And when Cole returns, even if he is not at peak form immediately, pairing him with Fried at the top gives this team a foundation that can stack up with anyone. Cole, even an older version of Cole, remains a difference maker. He does not need to replicate his most dominant seasons to be valuable. Experience, command, and competitiveness still travel. Once he is back in that rotation, the conversation changes. Suddenly, you are not just surviving. You are building momentum. And when Rodon is fully healthy as well, you begin to see the outline of something that could be special. Depth is the word that keeps surfacing when you look at this organization. At the major league level, there are multiple arms capable of stepping into larger roles. Young pitchers waiting for opportunities. Veterans ready to provide innings. Beyond that, the farm system is stacked with intriguing talent. Arms with velocity. Arms with movement. Arms that are not even ranked at the very top of prospect lists, but have already put together impressive minor league campaigns. That kind of pipeline matters over a 162-game season. Injuries happen. Slumps happen. Having reinforcements ready can define whether a contender stays afloat or fades. There is a genuine sense that this rotation, once fully assembled, could become one of the strengths of the entire league. It is easy to say that in the spring. Every fan base feels optimism. But when you combine frontline talent with legitimate depth behind it, the ceiling rises. It is not just about having a couple of stars. It is about being able to turn to the next man and still feel confident. Of course, pitching alone does not carry a team till October. You need runs. You need timely hits. You need players to capitalize when the moment tightens. The encouraging sign is that this lineup proved last season it can produce. Aaron Judge remains the centerpiece, a force who changes the geometry of the field every time he steps into the box. Cody Bellinger brings versatility and left-handed balance. Young contributors continue to develop. There is enough here to believe that scoring will not be the primary issue. The real key becomes balance. If Stanton stays healthy and maintains that middle-of-the-order impact, if Judge performs at the level everyone expects, if complementary pieces take small steps forward, this offense can apply pressure nightly. And when you pair that with a rotation that finds its rhythm by late spring, you begin to see the outline of a team capable of doing serious damage. There are critics who look around the American League and point out potential flaws. No roster is perfect. Every contender carries question marks. But sometimes the conversation overlooks upside. It overlooks what happens if things break the right way. What happens if the early injuries are just temporary hurdles? What happens if the young arms step forward? What happens if Stanton plays 120 games instead of 77? The margin between good and great can be thinner than it appears. This is why that early spring blast matters beyond the box score. It symbolizes potential. It hints at a lineup that can punish mistakes. It reinforces the idea that health, more than anything else, will shape this season. If the core stays on the field, if the rotation solidifies by the time summer arrives, the Yankees will not just be chasing a playoff berth. They will be positioning themselves as a legitimate threat. And as the calendar inches closer to meaningful games, every small development feels magnified. Every update on a pitcher's bullpen session, every report of a hitter's timing returning, every reminder that this roster, when whole, has layers of talent. The pieces are there. The power is there. The pitching depth is there. What remains is the grind of the season itself, the adjustments, the resilience required to turn promise into reality, and the way this group responds when the inevitable adversity arrives and tests just how strong that foundation truly is. But before we continue, please remember to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support allows us to keep bringing you the latest news about the New York Yankees. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments. Whispers around the Bronx have grown louder, and the industry grapevine is buzzing with a story that feels almost too big to ignore. According to persistent chatter making its way through front offices and clubhouses, Shohei Ohtani could be on the verge of pulling on the iconic pinstripes, with talk centering on a bold 3-season agreement that would instantly reshape the baseball landscape. Nothing is official. Nothing is signed in ink that anyone outside a tight inner circle has seen, but the smoke is thick enough to suggest a very real fire. Sources close to the situation hint that the allure goes far beyond money. The idea of pairing a once-in-a-generation two-way talent with the tradition, spotlight, and relentless ambition of the New York Yankees is said to be intoxicating for both sides. Executives are rumored to believe that a shorter, high-impact deal could balance risk and reward, allowing the club to maximize star power while maintaining long-term flexibility. For the player, the narrative of conquering baseball's biggest stage, in its most scrutinized market, carries a weight that few franchises can offer. Around the league, rival teams are reportedly recalibrating their own plans, wary of what such a move could signal. A 3-year window suggests urgency, a sense that the next chapters of the sport might be defined not by slow rebuilds, but by concentrated bursts of dominance. Analysts speculate that the marketing ripple alone would be enormous, turning every road trip into a national event and every at-bat or inning pitched into a must-watch moment. Still, caution tempers excitement. Veterans of the rumor mill warn that silence from official channels often masks complex negotiations, medical evaluations, and philosophical debates about usage and workload. Until pen meets paper, this remains speculation dressed as possibility. Yet in a city that thrives on big dreams and bigger stars, the mere suggestion that Ohtani could be headed to New York is enough to set imaginations racing and keep the hot stove burning hotter than ever. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the New York Yankees, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.